And now, Urban View Mornings with Greg Carr and Lamont King.
Right here. That, of course, Robert Calvin Blaine from Rosemark, Tennessee. About 3 hours west of Nashville, 30 minutes outside of Memphis. The great Bobby Blue Bland from his 1951 album, Two Steps from the Blues, Duke Records. Shout out to Joe Medwick, the writer of that song, I Pity the Fool, a song about a man who fell in love with a woman who made him look like a fool. A man who was embarrassed, humiliated. The trick of that blues song is that the man is the man singing the song. Bobby Blue Bland. This is the 4th of July. For all of you Negroes that fell in love with the United States of America because you have amnesia, I pity the fool. For all of you who fell in love with America and expected it to be true. For the one person, whoever you are out there listening, who was surprised yesterday when you watched the MAGA Muppet and his friends, the racist Steve Scalise standing there stuffed full with his white supremacy. A man whose life was saved by black law enforcement at a softball game. Remember that?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Thumbs in the air. Virginia Fox, another nasty piece of work. Some out hunting the scalps of Ivy League presidents over the last year. You watch them doing their little happy dance. Ain't nothing more white bread than watching a bunch of old laminated white people doing a happy dance with their thumbs in the air after the big bullshit bill passed. I pity the fool.
Talk to him.
The humiliation, the shame you feel, those of you who have had second thoughts or perhaps your memory restored. It's beautiful. How you feeling this morning, bro?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah.
Just wanted to play the national anthem this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, on this most important July 4th, whereas I understand it, Tuskegee University was founded in 1881.
Booker Taliaferro, Washington.
That's the only fourth we
my
acknowledge.
Place. Shout out to Mother Tuskegee.
Yeah, I didn't know that. July 4th.
That's what they call it,
That's
Mother
awesome.
Tuskegee.
Yeah.
The pride of the swift-growing South. If memory serves me correctly, the alma mater, which I love to hear sung when I'm there in Alabama at Tuskegee. If memory serves me correctly, those lyrics were written by Paul Laurence Dunbar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I have to look it
Would
up,
be
but
a
I'm
stretch.
pretty sure. No, I'm pretty sure it's Dunbar. Yeah, happy birthday, Tuskegee. The rest of that,
Yeah, anything else?
White Juneteenth,
Yeah.
the big boy birthday party part 2.
Yeah.
New York Times got a front page article that says, where is it? No, I think it's today. Tariffs could render next year's 4th a dud. Why? Because guess where the fireworks are made?
Oh, no, China?
Exactly.
China.
So you better stockpile them now. The fireworks come from China. New York Times said, did you see the big boy birthday parade boy is saying he wants to have, was it WrestleMania? Some shit. What's his friend, the racist who runs the UFC? It's UFC.
Oh, Dana White?
Yeah. They're going to have a UFC
Like a match on the mall?
at the White House
Oh, jeez.
on the 4th of July,
Yeah.
2026.
Oh.
Hey, listen, y'all. I pity the fool. I really do. I pity the fool.
show.
See, y'all. No. This is a return. No, it's not a return. It never left.
Be a return. Oh,
It never left.
Okay.
But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
George Washington would approve. I know y'all
I
want
don't
to
know
say
if George would
Yeah,
approve.
James Madison, Thomas Jefferson. Of course he would, because I mean, at Mount Vernon, where George Washington had us captive, at Montpelier, where James Madison had us captive, and at Monticello, where the master of the mountain, Thomas Jefferson, it was nothing to have African people fighting each other. You know, that's the roots of boxing. So while they sat on the porch in a house built by Africans to watch us. So I think it's entirely
That's partial,
on brand to have the ultimate fighter competition at the White House on July. Now, y'all think we making this up. So as you're waking up this morning, go on to the internets and find the thing that will Well, I mean, for those of you who fell in love with and expected this place to be true, I pity the fool. So the rest of you, we're going to have a little fun today because this is a day on.
And speaking of next year, so I was saying how this year they said, my favorite metaphor, slow boiling frog, right? You put a frog, you can't put a frog in boiling water. However, you can put him in water and turn the heat up. You never know that it's boiling. He'll get cooked to death. So the tariffs, right? They were talking to news radio when I was coming in. They were saying how beer, ice cream, and ground beef are up this year astronomical levels.
Beer, cream, and beef. Put that combination together
exactly.
on a 95-degree day.
And they were saying ground beef specifically highest cost since the 80s. The 80s. Now, we all remember the 80s. Mathematically, that's like 30, 40 years ago.
Well, let's think about it. Let me think this one.
That's crazy.
Where does beef come from?
There are a lot of farms in California that we get out.
There are. But who else?
But beyond that, I don't know.
Latin America,
okay.
Argentina, Brazil.
Okay.
Now,
tariff countries.
The circus clown, Javier Milei, who is the president of Argentina, of course, is on board with MAGA. In fact, I saw Lula da Silva, the president of Brazil, was just in Argentina visiting a former president who I think they've locked up. Kind of really demonstrating that we're not on the same page as Argentina. I think a lot of beef comes from Argentina, so I don't know if that factors in. But for those of you who have suspenders or belts or whatever, women or men, buckle them up.
Yeah,
buckle them up. I pity the fool. Buckle them up because we got a full show today, a full compliment. Hey, for those of you who think we playing, we are actually live.
Oh, yeah, this is live. I forgot to say.
All right, so it ain't just you and me.
Yeah.
And I walked in, it was a ghost town outside.
Absolutely.
It felt like COVID. I was walking from the metro. Well, but is Daryl here? Daryl, you here?
I'm here.
Daryl is here. Cassie.
I'm here.
Oh yeah, Cassie is here. Sam's
all here.
Yeah. All right. Yeah,
Sam is here too.
Yeah.
Sam is here.
Sam
is here.
is here.
See, there was probably one or
security's here too.
Oh yeah, I saw people coming in. So for anyone, and I doubt there's anyone listening now, maybe there's one or two who thought we were playing.
Oh yeah, no, it's not a game.
Well, it's not a game.
It's not a game.
America's not a game either. I pity the fool.
Yeah, you don't get no comp days in America.
No sir.
Not America.
No sir.
And I breezed through too the highways and byways.
Oh, it's lovely.
It's like an 11-minute ride.
No question.
Usually 40.
Maybe every day could be the 4th of July.
Could it?
I like that. I mean, for traffic.
Oh, yeah. What to the driver is the 4th of July?
I mean, man, but look, I must give some pause and moment of compliment to Bozo, who went to, what was it, Iowa? Where was he last night?
Yesterday? Oh, no.
He was in Iowa. Thank you, dear.
Oh, okay.
He didn't buckle up because he didn't have one of his pants. He showed his entire ass. Again. I know his family didn't care about him because they would have never let him mount the stage. But, I mean, he was in rare form. Racist invective. He was, oh, man. Anyway.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
He was in Iowa, right? Iowa.
Yeah.
Iowa, Idaho. And I shouldn't conflate those because, of course, the tragedy in Idaho earlier this week, firefighters lost their lives. These cats out here slinging guns like it ain't nothing. But, yeah, when we left the air yesterday, the leader of the minority party in the United States House of Representatives had just risen to the floor. And he stayed on that microphone for almost 9 hours.
Yeah. 7+, yeah.
No, it was 9.
Was it?
Because he broke the record. McCarthy, I think he stayed on there for about 8 hours and 40-some minutes.
And you talked about Magic Minute a couple of days prior. So that's
yesterday we talked about.
Oh, yeah, you sure did.
Yeah,
so
when
basically his last opportunity to speak is called that.
Yeah.
And so you stretch that out as a way to do what?
Well, interestingly enough, I think 866-801-8255, perhaps in addition to asking the framing question of the day, is what does this day mean to us? Maybe somebody can explain what he was doing.
Oh, okay.
Some people think
I would like
that.
that.
Well, some people think he was framing the upcoming campaign. I thought it was a bit of a rhetorical hit, a good punch when he said that the founders had 1775 they were responding to with 1776. And then, of course, everybody cheered. As you know, I pity the fool. But at any rate, then he said, now we're we had Project 2025. So now we're going to have Project 2026. And then, I'm sorry, for those of you who can't see, it's a live show. Lamont's face was a combination of skepticism, disgust, amusement. It was all of the emotions in one face. If you could, now y'all close your eyes and imagine having all those emotions and others.
You see what? So
you didn't like that?
Nah. So
good, because I pity the fool who watched Tuskegee Jeffrey stand there and thought that was gone.
Reactionary is not going to get us anywhere, and here's why I say that.
Oh, don't do that, man. A lot of people love that. Now they calling up here to beat you up today. They tried to beat me up last night on Roland Martin, and I wanted. I'm sorry, there was no smoke, but had there been smoke, I wanted it all.
But what position?
Well, there was a turn toward beating up the progressives for being skeptical and this kind of thing. At that point, I said, "Don't do that. Don't do that." And for like the last 10 minutes, I was like, "Nah, y'all not gonna do that, because this is what we're not gonna do. We're not gonna beat up the people who are pushing to say, nah, this is over." It was always over for me, at least most of my adult life. But I'm crystal clear in this. I'm not beating up Hakeem Jeffries. He did what he could do. He's the leader, and he's done this kind of thing. But let me be very clear. All this cheering for politicians, shit.
Yeah.
Nah.
So my skepticism comes in. You're saying Project 2026 as a response to 2025, Project 25, as if you don't know or aren't aware that Project 2025 was being worked on for 2 decades.
Right. Well, I mean,
you're not going to get a response in a year.
It's not a perfect metaphor. But we live in an idiocracy. It doesn't have to be a people don't remember last year. This time last year, remember whatever that was in Western Pennsylvania with the ketchup or whatever that was, the hot sauce.
The rally? With the dummy on the
quote-unquote assassination attempt.
Right.
I mean, and then, Biden walks the plank around this time, right? Harris comes in to run the sprint.
Right. It was all this time.
This is my point.
July,
that was just a matter of months ago.
Yeah.
But as far as the memory of in this idiocracy is concerned, it might as well have been 1776. But anyway, I'm sure this time next year, well, they may not be a country.
Yeah, I'm seeing
a lot of people who would normally be alive in the rural hospitals getting treatment, they may be dead by this time next week or next year. We'll see.
I got an interesting email from Social Security. Did you get that?
No. Or maybe I did. I don't.
Like, one of those blanket emails.
Did you open it?
Yeah, I did.
So now all your personal information, bank routing number, all that is now in the pocket of Grape Nuts.
Yeah,
That's right.
He left. He resigned.
He's taking, I would bet the hundreds of dollars in my bank account that mine are going too. So all of our wealth, our combined wealth, the 5 of us was about $50, $60.
You know what? That's probably how they got the email.
Oh, no question.
Yeah, that's probably how they got
so
the email.
what did the email
So they Social Security applauds the passage of legislation providing historic tax relief for seniors.
Where did it come from?
It says them.
No. Where?
SSA.gov.
Let me tell y'all something.
That's crazy.
There's a brand new book out on how the government uses the First Amendment and what the legal options are. In fact, I just started leafing through it. I got it the other day, and I'm going to have to sit down and just give it a straight through read, and maybe something I can integrate into my class in the fall. But, the government, the central question in the book, and I can't answer where the author goes so far as a law professor, but the question is, does the government have First Amendment rights? And what happens when you violate First Amendment rights? You have freedom of speech, but of course there are limits, curbs and limits, time, place, and manner curbs on the First Amendment. When you straight lie, like apparently that email, if it's come from the federal government and it's a federal government email, like you said, it's got an address.
Yeah, and it says
for them to tell that lie,
and they go into a lot of details.
What does it say?
So the bill,
liars.
Social Security Administration is celebrating the passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill, landmark piece of legislation that delivers long-awaited tax relief to millions of older Americans. The bill ensures that nearly 90% of Social Security beneficiaries will no longer pay federal income taxes on their benefits.
How many were paying before?
I see. That's the thing. I don't know. I didn't research.
And how much is the how much is the discount? I mean, we talked about that yesterday.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we list
$100 refund check, and you ain't got no Medicaid.
Providing meaningful and immediate relief to seniors who have spent a lifetime contributing to our nation's economy.
Meaning death and going to heaven. That's immediate relief.
But I just was surprised from them. Like,
what? Why? Wait a minute, hold on,
An ad.
Lamont.
An ad
Lamont.
from the Social
Lamont.
Security Administration.
Lamont, Robert, Calvin, Bland. Try to tell you, Joe Medwick wrote the song. I pity the fool. You're not surprised.
Oh, man.
They have weaponized the federal government, man.
Yeah.
This is what Elena Kagan said that they did in her dissent in the last major First Amendment case. You're weaponizing the federal government. You are literally putting propaganda out. Somebody gonna read that and believe it.
Yeah.
I pity the fool.
I'm somebody.
Y'all better play that national anthem. Y'all better turn off that Francis Scott Key racist ass Georgetown lawyer who wanted to send all y'all back to Africa. Not that that's a bad thing, but this was the 19th century, who was trapped in that British boat in Fort McHenry, and you weren't there. So when they stand up and say, "Oh, say, can you see?" you just simply say, "No, I can't. I was not there. I was in a field in Maryland, and therefore you ain't got to sing no more."
We had talked about it yesterday. Also, paving over the Rose Garden, right? Some of the smaller things that have happened.
That's where they're gonna have the UFC.
So, that and the Garden of Heroes. So
They ain't gonna put the Garden of Heroes on the
I don't
White
know if
House
they're gonna
lawn.
put it there, but
No, because it's not gonna be big enough. And some of y'all gonna pack y'all children in cars and drive them to see these statues.
absolutely.
I pity the fool.
So look,
I'm not playing with y'all now, man. However many times I got left on Earth, this
said-
shit getting ready to go by order of magnitude.
they said 40
Buckle
million.
up.
40 million was in the bill that just got passed.
Of course it was.
For that,
For the
right?
Garden of Heroes.
So look, I didn't know these
Oh,
names.
you didn't know?
I didn't know the
It's
names.
the same list pretty much with a few additions he had at the end of, remember when they
I
had
didn't know that.
the 1776 commission at a Hillsdale College, which is one of their, Hillsdale
Okay,
College
yeah,
is
yeah.
like the, one of the,
They're think tank universities.
yeah, university
Training grounds.
in South Africa. They had a university called Stellenbosch. Stellenbosch was called the brain trust of apartheid. Well, Hillsdale College is an American version of that, and being an American version, of course, it's very much inferior intellectually. But yeah, they had that, and then they came up with this list.
So you saying
Bozo
they
was-
added some?
Yeah, they changed
Okay.
a few, but who do you see on there that
Peter
caught
jumped
your
out.
eye?
Yeah, caught my eye. So I was looking
It's
at
the
this.
Garden of Heroes. He want to put this in
Put
D.C.
these
so you come see
statues.
the
because he's saying to combat cancel culture and reclaim our American history. That's
Bring it
what he
on,
said.
Poe.
So
We'll
he-
roll
he-
over your ass intellectually like the flea you are, my friend.
So the
but
first,
yeah, go
first
ahead.
couple of names that jumped out: Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, Crispus Attucks. I was like, oh, okay, he went basic civics, 4th grade history.
Crispus Attucks, I'm sorry, brother. Crispus Attucks, wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah,
Crispus Attucks, the first brother who got caught up on the wrong side. They was throwing rocks at the police. They opened up fire, and Attucks, I visited his grave in Boston. Attucks is now buried in the grave with the other white boys, the so-called Boston Massacre. I'm like, where's your family, man? You guys spend eternity with these white boys because y'all was out there in the dock and you got caught up and caught us straight. Anyway, yeah. So Attucks got a statue. No question.
Martin Luther King, Coretta Scott King, another black guy, Babe Ruth.
You know, yeah.
And,
Hey, Ruth
let's
Black.
see.
Well, Ty Cobb used to, when he was Detroit Tigers, the Georgia Peach, a real racist, would be in the opposing dugout yelling at Babe Ruth, and one of his favorite slurs for Babe Ruth was the N-word.
Yeah, of course.
So I don't know. I'll go with Ty Cobb's opinion. I mean, if
history
you,
forgets that. Bessie Smith. Let's see, Kobe.
Bessie Smith. So they was high when they made this.
That's
list.
exactly. Sitting Bull.
You didn't say Kobe.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant. In the Garden of Heroes.
Is there a theme? Do you see a theme emerging?
I
here?
don't see a theme.
Martin and
That's the
Coretta
whole thing.
accepted. What are the rest of these people?
George Washington Carver. I don't see the theme. That's
Carver's
what-
there.
Yeah.
They like Carver because they think he's meek and mild and he's safe. And Carver was one on the approved list of Negroes you could, because he was, Christian, very mild mannered, this kind of thing. But most of them Negroes are entertainers.
So
Ball
I
players
see
and
what you're saying.
entertainers.
Well, Sojourner Truth.
Okay. Well, she's safely dead.
Yeah. So, yeah. But most, I mean,
I see Araminta there.
yeah, Harriet Tubman.
Harriet Tubman.
Jesse Owens. You're right.
Running.
Okay, athlete. Yeah.
But a lot of athletes.
A lot of athletes. Rosa Parks, C.T. Vivian.
C.T.
Roberto Clemente. That's another.
Clemente.
Christopher Columbus in the Garden of Heroes.
Of course.
Cristobal Colon.
Cristobal Colon. Cristoforo Colombo, as the Italians would
I
never
went to-
have recognized the name Christopher Columbus.
When I went to Cuba, I went on a tour and they kept talking. They said this person. I was like, who are y'all talking about?
Colon.
They was-
Spanish.
Man, they had his grave. They had a museum
In Cuba?
in Cuba. I was like, who are y'all saying? Oh, Cristobal Colon. And I was like, is that Columbus?
No.
I was like, he got here
Who
first.
is Columbus?
They were looking.
Oh, yeah,
at-
no, he was in the Caribbean, but he never
Yeah.
made it up where we are.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but they gave him his
Whitney
booty.
Houston is in there.
Whitney?
Benjamin O. Davis Jr. Davy Crockett.
King of the Wild Frontier.
I didn't even know he was a real person. I thought that was a
Coonskin
Disney-
cap.
I
You
thought
didn't
that
have
was
no
a Disney
coonskin
character.
hat as a
Nah,
child?
I thought that was a Disney
Coonskin
character.
hat.
Walt Disney.
Where was Tim Scott? I didn't see him. Anyway, I'm sorry. I just,
Somebody
free
hit me
association.
yesterday.
I'm sorry.
He will not be in the. He may be in the ribbon cutting, but he will not be in the Garden of Heroes. But somebody.
Well, he's alive. I don't
somebody-
think there's any living people in him.
Somebody hit me. Let me check. Let me double check.
No, I don't think there are any living
Oh,
people.
okay.
There are some living statues. John Thune, the leader of the Republicans in the Senate, is a living statue.
Somebody hit me yesterday on social media. It was like, Greg called it. He called it because remember the day previous, you were like, I wonder when old Tim Scott is going to pop out.
Did you see him?
And the next day,
Did you see Black Gerbers?
He did a
Black
no,
Gerbers, baby.
the same day.
Skinning and grinning.
He did a Twitter post that he was congratulating the president on
Was
the
he?
bill. Yeah,
I didn't see him
like
at
you
the
called
two
it.
thumbs up laminated
Oh, no,
old
he's
white
not
people
included to
jiggy
that.
dance.
No,
at
they don't
the,
get that.
No, but he was grinning at the Rose Garden last time. They passed that theft. And remember Paul Ryan, the most brilliant legislator to appear in the United States Congress in the last half century. Oh, where is Paul Ryan? The pride of Jamestown. Anyway.
Okay. Oh yeah, let's here we go. So let's hear from the president himself about the Garden of Heroes for the birthday.
I'm pleased to report that the One Big Beautiful bill includes full funding for those statues, and we're going to do statues to our greatest Americans, and we're going to let the people choose who they are. You better choose me, no, I'm only kidding. But we're going to be officially opening the National Garden of American Heroes, a vast outdoor park featuring statues of the greatest Americans who ever lived. You know, they took down a lot of our statues.
Keep it
They
playing,
took
but
down
turn it
statues
really,
of some of
really
the
low.
greatest people.
So
not
is it
really
going
much
to look like a
watch that.
chessboard? Because that's a
I
lot
don't
of,
know, and I
There's a
don't-
lot of names on that
I
list.
hope they listen.
Because that's a lot of names.
In 1814, when the British came back for the rematch and they marched into Washington, D.C. and burned the White House, as my friend Gerald Horn, the historian, relates, there were African people who worked on that wait staff, like Paul Jennings, who saved the portrait of George Washington that you see on your dollar bill, the Gilbert Stuart Morton. And then there were other black people who worked in and around the White House who helped the British by showing them how to get in there and set it on fire. So I'm saying, in the spirit of those Africans and the ones who were trying to get to that same boat Francis Scott Key was on in Baltimore in the harbor to escape to the British, because the British were offering liberation in exchange for them fighting with them. I just want to say that Tim Scott, you're on the wrong side of history, brother. And to hear Donald Trump talk about statues and where they're going to be, just like those brothers and sisters were like, look, this is how you burn it. I'm sorry, Michelle Obama, when you stood up and said, I never forget I live in a house that was built by slaves. No, you don't. You live in a house that was built by captives who were forced to do it, who did their best work. That's why it's still standing there. And they showed the British how to burn it. I don't care if they put statues all over that public house.
That's going to look ugly.
They can put like, probably put, how many you think they can fit? 20, 30 on the roof? I mean, they could just have
at
them
least
like,
100 on that list.
well, maybe they could fit them all
On
on
the
the roof.
roof, on the roof.
Yeah,
on the roof.
and you know, I mean,
that would look creepy.
because you know, in the spirit of Bobby Blue Bland, the roof,
yeah.
the roof, the roof is on fire.
I see what you did there.
You know what I'm saying? We don't need no scaffolding. Let the statues collapse the roof.
You know that one house when you going through the countryside, and it's that house that got all those figurines and planters and
brother. We were in Galveston on the way to Pier 21, where the African soldiers of the U.S. colored troops came in and told everybody to drop them hoes and let's pick up these fists, and passed, I don't know, a half dozen Trump flags, 2020 flags. Yeah. The ones that got them everywhere. You got the Confederate flag, then got the Trump flag.
It's like a statue of Venus.
Yeah,
and
of course.
Like the ceramic.
The Christmas lights they never took down, little tinsel across the.
That's what they about to do.
Of course, I love it. The man had already paid over y'all Rose Garden. I pity the fool, but he announced he had. In fact, you know, can we play clip 9? This is him. This is him. This is the man who some of y'all call president. Let's hear what he said. What he thinks about. Well, I don't know. Let's just let him play. Let it play, D.
About what I said, not going to help. But if you love them, or if you love somebody that you're leaving it to, think of that. No death tax, no estate tax, no going to the banks and borrowing from, in some cases, a fine banker, and in some cases, Shylocks and bad people. But they took away a lot of family. They destroyed a lot of families. But we did the opposite. So just remember, to me, it's so important.
Last I checked.
Wow.
Did you hear any words in there that might offend anyone?
So I did, and 'cause
We're
I saw
not
that
going to
clip.
repeat it.
I saw that clip, and I was like, that sounds like a slur because I wasn't really familiar.
The S word.
Yeah, and then I went, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a slur.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a slur.
Pretty bad. I mean, but now as slurs go, where does that fit?
I don't think it's at the top. I don't
want to prevail
I don't think it's
upon
at the
anybody
top.
based on, but this is the beautiful thing. I will say this. This is one of the beautiful things about the criminal enterprise known as United States of America. And it's not beautiful because it was intended this way. So y'all can let that myth making go. I pity the fool who holds on to it. The fact of the matter is they couldn't kill us. That's why there's some of everybody on the planet in this country, because they needed some of everybody on this planet to build the thing. And having built it and trying to get rid of us and oppress us, we have fought back. So now you got some of everybody here. And because we have some of everybody here, we can ask any kind of question we want and get an answer based on how anybody who is offended by this term directly would experience it. Now, they wouldn't call you.
No, it's very specific.
They wouldn't call me.
It's very specific.
But they might call Sam once. Sam, is this a slur?
That's a good question.
Sam is still recovering.
Yeah,
It's a slur.
It's a slur, Sam. Go ahead.
It just exposes the that this whole campaign against anti-Semitism coming down from Trump is just a facade.
No question.
I mean, that's the first thing I thought of. I didn't feel that like intergenerational terror. When I heard it, I just heard, well, this is all bullshit.
No question.
The next time I hear Trump say that he's fighting anti-Semitism, I'm like, BS.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
Virginia Fox, the Congresswoman, she hunting the scalps of Ivy League presidents, claiming that Claudia Gay, the former president of Harvard, was anti-Semitic and the president of Columbia was shut the fuck. Y'all y'all the biggest anti-Jewish.
Not doing enough to protect the Jewish students.
No question. And then crucifying Mamdani on Face the Nation as if, wait a minute, hold on. Now, of course, the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, came out very strongly and I read the statement this morning where they said that Trump has I'm sorry.
They did not.
They did not.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything yet.
We're silent.
Hey, John, what's his name? Jonathan Greenblatt, the head of the ADL.
He's
waiting
listening.
on the statement, man.
Yeah,
waiting on the statement, my friend.
Yeah. And so I'm looking at, and I'll say the word in context. It's Shylock, and I'm looking, and in the definition, it's only in reference to people of Jewish descent.
Well, it's from the Merchant of Venice.
The Merchant of Venice, a Shakespeare play, right?
Yeah. Shylock
And
was the lawyer,
used
the money
it,
lender,
right? And so when you use it, that's what you're.
Yeah.
It can't be taken out of context.
No
Like
mistake.
No,
it's literally from the. It's like calling somebody Nino Brown or something. You can't. It's a central character.
Right.
And by the way, Shakespeare, of course, who is responsible largely, well, not only, but he plays an outsized role in elevating the garbage can language of the Europeans, which is English. The car crash between Latin and the Germanic languages, because that's why the damn pronouns don't make no sense. And you can't conjugate verbs the same way as if you were speaking in the German languages or in the Latin-based languages. But Shakespeare elevates it with his plays. A lot of when we think of English, Shakespeare is kind of like the vehicle for that. But you know what he does? He writes the English into Europe in terms of a long-standing memory. Think about his plays: Julius Caesar, Romeo and Juliet, Merchant of Venice. He's literally Richard III. He's creating an identity for the English by cannibalizing the other European memory. What you got to do with the Romans? What you got to do with Julius Caesar? I'm bringing us into that memory. We got nothing to do with the Romans. In fact, the Romans colonized us. But I said all that to say this. In the Merchant of Venice, it's a gesture toward the fact that during that period when Columbus or Cologne or Colombo is coming across the Atlantic, they have to get finances. It was Ferdinand and Isabella, in that case, the Castilian crown coming together. But in Europe, according to Christians and the Christian church, you couldn't lend money and get money back with interest. It was called usury.
Usury, right.
So they stereotyped Jewish money lenders because they said since they're not Christians, they're not bound by those same laws. So some of them would get money financing from these lenders who had a network based on their cultural affinity. They could connect and money change. So out of that grows this stereotype that if you're Jewish, you rich, you stingy, you always try and get money. Yeah. All these stereotypes.
Yeah. And it's a negative term because they were the only ones that were doing it.
Well, that they were projected as being the only ones. Now, of course, we know damn well then and now, these white people were not Christians. So therefore, of course, they were lending money and getting interest. But I said all that as a backdrop to this. This MF stood up last night in
front of the world.
Not in the 17th century, not in the 16th century, in 2025. And put that word in his mouth to the cheers of these people who going to be dead in 6 months because they can't go to the hospital.
Pity the fool.
Pity the fool.
More from Urban View Mornings after this on Sirius XM Urban View.